This is Eating Crow with Pete Durand.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Eating Crow podcast. I have this April Mitchell. I'm very excited because April is a fellow University of Wisconsin Platteville pioneer, aren't you, April?
I am a proud one. Yes.
Yes, and that's one of the great things about LinkedIn. It shows me other people on LinkedIn that went to school where I did, and I had seen a couple of April's posts and said, "Wait a minute, we went to the same college. We need to talk." So April has an incredibly interesting background. She is an entrepreneur, which is the point of the program. I believe she's probably eaten some crow at some point in her life. She's got 4 kids and a husband who's in the military. And by the way, thank you for his service and your service.
You're welcome.
We're very grateful. And she's an inventor. So I think this is fascinating. We've never had an inventor on the program. So we're going to learn what it's like to invent things.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So April, tell us, you got your undergrad in education. From a fine academic institution, I will say, and then you tell us how you nurtured this desire to invent things. Some of that I think probably came from need, but how did you foster that?
Well, just like you said, most of it came from need. With 4 kids, there's always so many problems that you're having, and you're trying to do things that make things easier or quicker or better. And so the first product of mine that I invented was really to keep me to have to do less laundry. I was potty training 2 little boys at the time, and then they'll go and dry their hands on the towel in the bathroom, and then the towel will just keep falling off. And then once that towel is on the floor in the bathroom with boys, it's deemed dirty. You cannot use the towel again. So I was just picking up the towel, putting in the laundry, put a new towel up. And I couldn't get these towels to stay on the towel bar, which was just a silly problem to have. And I thought, okay, well, there's got to be something out there. So, we all do our Google search, let's buy the thing that we need to fix our problem. And there wasn't anything that fixed that problem for me. And so I'm like, this is ridiculous. So I did some research, started the patent process, tried, I bought a sewing machine, tried different materials, and came up with my first product, which is called the towel belt, which simply wraps around a towel when it's on a towel bar, secures it in place. And then what happens is you just dry your hands and walk away. And when you want to take that towel off the towel bar, you just take that towel belt off. And so I was able to get a patent on that product, which there's probably my first Eating Crow lesson there of spending too much money patenting something. And that was quite the wake up call, because what I've learned since is you really want to make sure that there is the need and the demand for a product before spending all that money on a patent. So I was able to secure a patent on the process of securing a towel to a towel bar. So it's a pretty amazing patent. And now I've had it for several years and have had to, pay for the upkeep on it and whatnot. And I'm proud that I have that patent, because I did a lot of work, and so did my lawyer, and paid a lot of money for it. But so that was the start of this whole idea of, okay, I can come up with things and fix problems. Little did I realize I had been doing that before, though, with just coming up with simple games for teaching and in the classroom, and then with my own kids, just for learning. I thought there was some things lacking, so I would just make up my own games. I would make up my own matching things for the kids, and I was doing that already, but that just was natural. So I never thought this is inventing. I just thought, oh, we're just making things fun. And so it was after that first product, the towel belt, which I realized, okay, this is something I enjoy doing. And then came the next product. So
when you, by the way, the patent is interesting. You have 2 patents, I believe, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct.
So I have a patent as well.
Awesome.
And it is an expensive ordeal, isn't it?
It is.
For inventors and entrepreneurs listening to the program, let's touch on that before we drill into the next product, and then kind of how this is all involved into 4A's creations and what you're doing today. A patent is at least around a $10,000 effort, isn't it?
At least, yes.
My patent was closer to 25.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I have it. It's a plaque on my wall. It looks great.
It does.
It's there. By the way, it probably is doing more for me than I thought, just keeping people away from our IP.
Nice.
But if you have to defend it, then it can get really expensive as well.
Right. And that's the thing, that is talked about often is don't spend money on the patent if you can't defend it.
Exactly.
So.
And we were my company was dealing in a bigger space. So we had some multi-million, if not billion-dollar companies that could fringe on it. So it was a good thing for us to have. But I think just doing the patent process in itself is a great thing for an inventor to do and learn to think about how people truly build IP. What did you learn through the patent process?
Well, the first one, I had my lawyer do the bulk of the work. The second one, I did a lot more of the searching, the patent search, figuring out exactly how my product needed to work. The variations are important, making sure you cover so much ground. So if someone just changes one thing, it's not a whole new patent. So I learned a lot in the second patent. And now I file PPAs, just, the 12 months anytime I do a new product. So I don't file full on utility patents for every idea, but I will file that PPA, to just buy me the 12 months to see if there's interest for the product. If there's not interest in that specific product, I'm not going to spend the money getting a full utility patent. It's just not worth it.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah. Now, because people they now seek you out to learn how to invent things and what that process looks like. Tell me what you're doing at 4A's Creation and what does 4A stand for? Kind of describe how you formed this business now out of your desire to be an inventor.
Okay. So 4A's stands for the 4 children that my husband and I have. So even though my name's April, the 4 kids all start with an A. So Anthony, Alexander, Abraham, and Annabelle. And so because most of my ideas come partially from them, either a problem or watching them or something like that, it's sparked because of them. That I named my company 4A's Creations LLC. So my company itself is me coming up with ideas, new products, games, toys, things like that, that I then turn and try to pitch it to companies for licensing so that then they will make it, manufacture it, and I'm getting a percent of that, a royalty. And then what I do is I also coach other inventors. That is through the company InventRight.
Sure.
That company InventRight had helped me when I was needing help on my second product. My first product, I was able to get a licensing deal, the towel belt that I told you about, but it wasn't a good licensing deal. So I learned a lot in there. I was so eager just to sign a contract, right? And get my product out there in the world. I mean, I had tried all the contests, like the big Walmart contest there is. I tried out for Shark Tank. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 levels for Shark Tank. So I didn't even make it past the first level. Mm-hmm. I tried everything with that product. And so when I was able to get that licensing deal, I just wanted to sign it. And I was just starting at that time, watching YouTube videos with InventRight and Stephen Key. And then I realized, okay, I need to buy this book called One Simple Idea that he wrote. And I followed the steps, everything to a T in that book for my next product, Right Height, which is now available for retail. And I followed everything and I was getting interest from companies and I was nervous. I was like, okay, I messed up before. I don't want to sign a bad deal. I want to make sure these conversations and this relationship building is going the right way. So I did, sign up for their program, their coaching program, and got help with that, which was extremely useful for me. And then I was able to license the Right Height hook with their help. And then after, I would say about the same time that was going to market, they approached me and asked if I would be interested in coaching, being part of their coaching team, which was great because I honestly was not looking for a job at the time. And it just worked out. It fell in my lap and they're an amazing company, amazing people to work with. And so now I'm so blessed because people see their YouTube channel, Stephen's books, they're amazing. And so now I get to be a part of that community, which is great.
How many different potential inventors do you think you would see in a year? through that program?
Like through that well,
Yeah.
so each coach has their own students.
Got it.
I would, gosh, I don't even know. We have 9 coaches now.
Wow.
And most of them are full-time and a few of us are part-time. So it's a good deal. We did have, I just saw the email last week. We get a notice every time a new deal is signed. And we had 11, we helped 11 people, or there are 11 contracts signed in like 15 days, which is a record. Like that was amazing. But the thing is there's a lot of companies out there that try to say they'll do it for you. And I felt for those scams. Another eating crow, like, give us $4,000 and we'll take your product and get it to the right people. No, nobody cares about your product as much as you will. So you have to learn how to do it yourself.
Sure.
And so that's what Invent Right does, is it teaches you the process and it empowers you to, do your marketing material, to do your research, to make those connections on LinkedIn, to reach out to people as a professional. And so they take you through that process so that you can do it over and over and over again, because it's really, with inventing and licensing, it's a numbers game. Like the percent of people who license their first product right out is not that huge. Like, you have to keep at it and you learn from the industry. I mean, some companies that I've pitched to 6 or 7 times, and it, something might go up the ladder and get really close, and then it falls at the last minute. So you've got to be constantly coming up with ideas. And when they say no on this one, oh, here's another one. Like, I try to have another one ready to show them, or, okay, I'll have another one in a couple of weeks for you. So it's, you got to kind of have to be like an idea machine, really. But that was never my goal. I never thought that would happen. I thought I had this one idea, this towel belt's going to just make the world a better place. And some inventions do, they really do. But I couldn't think past that first one at the time. And then after things didn't go well, then another one came. And then after that one, then they just started snowballing. But with the second product, I felt like I had a lot to prove. The first one, I got a licensing deal, and then it never made it to the store shelves. It never made it to the market. And so I felt like I was so close. I learned a lot, which you've got to be open to learning. I think that is the main thing. You have to be open to learning. Otherwise, you're not going to go anywhere in life. And I think the main thing too is when you think you've actually arrived, you're in trouble, because you should never think you're there, that you've made it. I honestly think that. So I've learned a lot on this journey, and it's been amazing, and the amazing people you meet and the relationships you build. And gosh, I mean, I was the woman who would break the computer every time I touched it. And now I'm making iMovies to pitch to companies, so you've got to be willing to work hard.
So there's so much there, April, that's wonderful for a leader or an entrepreneur listening to the program. And that's our audience. First of all, those eating crow moments where you learn tough lessons, but you got to get back up and try it again. You've applied those lessons going forward, but there's some things in then that you described. And, in my day job, I'm in charge of revenue for a digital marketing agency. So I have a marketing teams, account management teams, sales teams, but you're all of those rolled into one, right? I mean, you're the product team, you're the engineering team, you're the sales team, you're the marketing team, all rolled into one. And I know how hard any of those are. That's exhausting.
It is, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And I hire things out too. So for example, if I have an idea that needs virtual prototyping or engineering, I hire that out. I personally don't have those capabilities. So you have to know when to hire things out too. You have to be smart about that. Now, if it's a prototype, I can take my teenagers to a Home Depot or Lowe's and say, hey, I need to do this and this and this. And they help me, pick out the right things to make it do that. And then we build it, and we can build it for $25. We're going to do that. So it just, depends. Sometimes a prototype out of cardboard to show that it works is good enough. And sometimes you need a virtual prototype, and sometimes you need something 3D printed. So just kind of knowing where your strengths are and where you need help is important. And my sell sheets, no, see, I'm an awful drawer. So I draw something, and then I need someone to make it look the way I want it and put it together. So I have the ideas, but I can't do it all. So I definitely need help with that.
So you've hit on a couple other key things for young entrepreneurs to consider. Having started a couple companies, I realized there were things I can do and I can't do as well, right? When another small, your kids are helping you,
They are helping me a ton.
right? So they're learning the gig.
Yeah. They have come up with their own products. They're always creating, especially the younger two, the 12 and 10-year-old. We have creative time built in our homeschool day where they're creating, and they test play. They help me brainstorm. They will help with prototyping. They help with, one of the boys is a great artist. So he will draw things up. I'll say, okay, here's my drawing. Can you make it better? And he makes it amazing. Actually, I have a product right now in review that he drew, and I just had that's it. I'm like, draw this. I want to do this. He drew it, and it's in review with the company. So they help with so much. And then they're in all my videos and everything that I need. You know, you have to usually have a pitch video. So they're in all those, if it's a game or toy or whatnot, actually in the housewares products too. So it's definitely a team effort here. Definitely a team effort. And my husband had help with a lot of the computer work in the beginning. And I've thus learned, because I didn't want to depend on him and his schedule. And I knew I needed to do things on my own and learn on my own. And so he's also a great sounding board for a lot of things. But with his schedule, he's in and out. So the kids and I do the majority of the work, but he's there for a lot of things too.
So you're homeschooling as well? For
the younger two, yes. And then the high schoolers are going a couple days a week, with this craziness.
Just throw that on top of everything. That's amazing. So I want to talk about prototyping and then advancing a product through the process, and then the marketing and the sales aspect, right? So if you got to go pitch to one of these organizations, what is that like? Who are you pitching to, and what are they looking for to make them go, oh, that's a winner?
Okay, so there's a lot in that question. Okay, let's see if I got it all. Okay, so depending on the industry, a lot of times they want mass market, depending on industry. The toy and game industry, they want that wow factor, maybe something that hasn't been done before, but also has familiar play. But it also depends on the company. So now that I've pitched to certain companies over and over, they can say, well, we are looking for this, or we want education with the fun, or we just want the education, or we want, and so I can zone in on specific things for specific companies and pitch to them what pertains to them, because it's not valuable for their time or my time to pitch them something that's not a good fit for their company. And so you have to do your research on the companies. So I've learned that. I've pitched some things to people that it probably wasn't a good fit in the beginning. I've learned a lot. And then what was the next question?
Well, you hit them all, right? Which is,
Okay.
So who are you pitching to, and what are they looking for? And you're looking for a wow factor or mass market appeal.
Right.
I'm guessing that these committees, or who you're pitching to, they've done this before, right? So they can make a subjective decision and typically be right without necessarily a lot of data or testing. Has anybody ever said to you, April, I love this, can we make 50 and go test it?
Not that exactly, but play testing a game or a toy. We need to get a group together of kids with their moms, get their thoughts on this and things like that. So that's happened. And it's not always a big committee. Usually it's one person, maybe the marketing manager, maybe product development team, maybe sales, depending on the company and the size of the company. And if you get through that person, then they take it and pitch it to the next, group of people, the whole team. And so usually it has to go up levels. Rarely is it you're pitching to the right person, the one person who's going to make that decision, unless it's a smaller company. And sometimes you are, or small to medium sized company. So it just really depends on the company structure and layout and size of company of, who you end up pitching and how many kind of layers or levels it needs to go up the chain before you can get a yes or a no.
It's just like any sales pitch.
Yes.
Everybody wants to know, well, why didn't you make the sale? Well, that's because I got 7 levels I need to go through. This is Dante's Inferno, basically. That's what's happening here.
Right.
How many you ballpark this figure. How many pitches have you done?
Oh gosh, I don't even know if I could. Hundreds. Yeah,
Wow.
I don't even know. Especially when you go to shows, there's different shows depending on, housewares and toys and games. You've got hardware shows, hardware shows. So when you're at a show, then you set up appointments, and then you also can do, walk right up to someone and pitch right then and there. And then once you have that contact information, then it's just following up. If it's a no, then you ask if the company's open for you to bring new ideas, and usually they are. And then you pitch them the next idea and the next idea. And usually I try to have a good few to pitch at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not just, have a half an hour, and I have one product to pitch. So, I think if they're added up, it's definitely in the hundreds. And I haven't been at this very long either. I would say, well, in retrospect, my first idea was over 11 years ago, but really, I feel like getting into the game, really.
Sure.
Where I'm constantly turning over idea and pitching, and turning over next idea and pitching, has just been a few years.
So when you think about the initial stages of an idea, how long do you give an idea before you say, all right, I'm going to take this to someone, or I'm going to, put it on a shelf somewhere? Is there a kind of a tipping point for you internally to go, I think I've got something here?
Well, I definitely write all of my ideas down as they come. And then in a way, I concentrate on what shows are coming up. Sure. And if a houseware show coming up, then I'm going to concentrate maybe on those products. And if the toy and game shows are coming up that I want to attend, then I'll concentrate on those. And then go from there. But really, it's doing that initial research to see, okay, what is out there that's similar. If something's out there that's similar or too similar, then I don't want to spend my time on it. But sometimes if it's similar, that's okay. It means that there's a need for it. There's other people are buying those items. So what can set mine apart? What it differentiates it from the other things and makes it better. So it really kind of just depends on, the research I do and how I feel about it too. If I'm like, I don't know, I might ask, my family, my kids, if they're not, excited about it, then I'm like, okay, let's put this one on the back burner and wait.
See, you'd make a great salesperson. I mean, we're going to talk after this podcast.
What's interesting is it's so funny, is I have taken on a sales rep role for my product. So I just recently helped get it into a couple retailers that that Richards was not already in. And so I took that upon myself to get it in, because I want it to be everywhere it possibly can be. And actually, I can announce this right now. You're the first to know. I just was able to get the word that Right Height will be on Marine Corps bases in the exchanges for the holiday season. So I'm super excited about that. That took quite a lot of work to make happen. And I'm
congratulations.
Hopeful, thank you. I'm hopeful that if it does well, or when it does well, then maybe they'll take it on as a full-time product. So that's exciting.
And where else where's Right Height being distributed right now?
So it's on Amazon, it's online at Walmart, Kohl's, it's online at Bed Bath & Beyond, also soon to be Lowe's. And then it's in some home goods stores as well, and then some stores up in Canada. So this will be the closest, this will be the first time I get to see my product in person at a retail store. Yes, because it's not at the home goods near me. So I'm excited to take family photos of it in the MCX on the base. So I'm excited about that.
So for the Right Height product, where is that being manufactured?
So Richards Homewares is the company that licenses it. So they are in charge of manufacturing. They have different factories over in Asia that do the products. And then since it's licensed, then they're in charge of getting it into the retailers. But then, like I said, I'm trying to get it into other places that they don't have their foot in the door in currently.
And then does your fee structure change if you're the one to kick the door down?
Yes.
Yeah, I would think so. That's definitely a topic of discussion. When you think about your kids watching you do what you do that you love, what's the biggest lesson do you think that, I mean, whether or not they're inventors, when you look at, and by the way, I'm sure all four of your children are very different. My three kids, geez, I don't have four. I don't think I have four. My three are extremely different people. So when you look at your four, how do they, you said one's drawing and helping you there, and the other one's helping prototype. Describe what you think their biggest takeaways are.
I think, and I hope that their biggest takeaway is to know that you can achieve anything. You can accomplish anything. There's not a certain age you have to be. I mean, they saw me, well, from the time we had our first son, I became a stay-at-home mom with my husband's, career. It made it really hard. And a lot of women will work with their spouse in the military. But for us, we just thought it would be best to have one parent stable at home at all times. And once we had one child, we had four. Like, boom, boom. The fourth one was born before the oldest was 5. So it was a lot, and it was intense. And so for many years, I was stay at home, and I was their constant, and my main focus was them. And then they slowly started seeing me, okay, now mom has some other important things going on in her life. And she's passionate about things. And about the same time the inventing happened, I started also, we kind of did a 180 in our health because of just some things that had gone on. And from what I was learning, that help us make the changes, I started then teaching other people. So at the same time, I became a natural health coach, helping others. So then they started seeing me, okay, mom's now helping other people. So I think they got to see me in a different light, instead of only taking care of them, which is very important and something I'm so glad and blessed I got to do. And I still get to do. And that we're blessed enough to be in that situation where I could stay home, because not everyone is in that, is in that. So they got to see me in a different light and see me work hard and see a product come from an idea that I had to a prototype to now it's selling, and now mom's teaching other people how to do it. And now she's working on other ideas, and now other ideas are close, and we're in negotiations with things, and they're understanding what a contract is. They're learning about negotiation. They're learning about, 3D design and printing and, benefit statements and all kinds of things that, I don't want to say normal kids, but kids don't all get to have that opportunity. And so the marketing and the sales, when I'm like, I got it into this store, and they're learning so many different things that I'm hoping they can just take pieces from all of that, no matter what they do in their life, but just also to know that no matter what it is and when they decide to make the change in their life, that they can do it and be passionate about it, because it's not like I've become a millionaire yet. They've seen me working on these goals for a while. But I'm passionate about it, and I enjoy what I do. And so I hope they enjoy what they do someday, and that they're passionate about what they get to do.
April, I should end the podcast right now. It was like a master. It was like a master class. Literally, it's almost like you have that written down somewhere. I don't know how you just did that. So we were, full disclosure, we were joking before. She's like, you've had so many great guests. I don't know if oh my goodness. That was awesome. And one of the things that I thoroughly love about this job is I get to meet people like you. I mean, I meet the coolest people, and I get to have a conversation as if we bumped into each other in a bus station, and you'd go home at night and you're like, well, that was just really great. Right. So there's a couple things I want to touch on that you talked about, because I believe your kids have such a leg up on other people because of the experiences. And there's some things we need to really touch on. So they've seen you succeed, but they've also seen you fail. That is really important, right? They know that if they don't get the promotion, or their paper isn't published, or they don't make that team, or all sorts of things happen, big deal. You get up, dust your knees off, and go do it again. And it's so important, because I think a lot of parents are afraid to see their kids fail. And then kids are not enabled when they get out there to fail. It's just, they don't know how to handle it.
Right.
So that's really great they also see the fact that you're bringing all of your experiences, like you said, contracts, 3D design, learning how to do a sell sheet. I mean, I think that is a staple for any skill going forward. I just think there's so many great things there. And the most fundamental lesson there that's really important. And by the way, we do this on leadership and entrepreneurship. The parenting often gets woven into these podcasts because the skills cross over so much.
Right.
And
right.
for your kids to know that it's okay for mom to be passionate about other things lets them know that when they get out in the real world, they are not the center of the universe anymore.
It is. And I'm glad you said that because, so many women, and me included, suffer from mom guilt.
Oh, yeah.
And like, now I'm not giving them enough time. And now, it's not all about them. And it's good for it not to be all about them all of the time. It really is. And to be honest, my life was so all about them and all about being a military spouse and all about that for a while I lost who I was. Did not, that was my identity. If you asked me who I was, or, I would say I'm a military spouse and I'm a mom, nothing else. Like, forget April, who likes to have fun, who likes to dance, who likes to meet people, who likes to socialize, like, forget that, who likes to teach, she was like gone. She was just gone for a while.
Yeah.
And I had to learn who I was again. And in that process, I learned that I like different things. I learned that I wasn't the complete same person as I was. And in that time, I started substitute teaching as well. So went from like mom with no jobs, even though being a mom is a huge job, right? But with no jobs in my kids' eyes, to now mom's an inventor, mom's substitute teaching, and mom is helping other people with natural health. And so the dynamics of our household changed. I mean, it was completely where, we had to sit down and everyone needs to pitch in more.
Yeah.
Everyone, and the roles had changed to where I have to admit, and I know my husband will listen to this sometime, but he does more dishes and laundry than I do now, because like, it's that way, where it used to be totally reversed. And then it was kind of even. And some days I do more, some days he does more with the household chores. It's not just, I'll do it because I'm home with the kids. It made sense at that time. I'm home, I cook, I clean, he helps me when he's around. But they've seen the dynamics change. And I think that's good for them as well.
Oh, it is. It's really good for them. And, you touched on health and wellness has become a passion of yours as well. And obviously I've got a background in health and wellness, so I'm really curious about that. Dancing, by the way, that's a whole other podcast. We'll drill down on that. We'll do a TikTok episode at some point.
Oh, goodness.
April. Okay. But, the pitching in thing is really important. And again, kids take on responsibilities. They watch your husband taking on responsibilities, which quite frankly, I think is a great example. My kids know that when we go to a friend's house, and we're very fortunate to have people with lake houses or beach houses or whatever, at the time dinner's over, they're the ones up doing the dishes.
Right.
That is just, it's inexcusable. And they know they'd get a look from me if it didn't happen. I've never had to give them a look. They just do it. But it's important. When my wife and I got married, I made a tragic mistake early in our marriage, where we had just remodeled a home in beautiful Green Bay, Wisconsin. It was an older home, and she cleaned the kitchen, and I'm kind of have a thing about kitchens. So I was wiping the counter down again, not knowing that she'd already wiped it down. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm wiping the." She goes, "I just did that. The kitchen's yours." And that was it. She walked out of the room, and I've done the dishes every night since we've been married. So she goes, "That's fine. That's your thing. You go do your thing."
Right.
So tell me a little bit about this. You identified a shift in your family with health and wellness. How important has that been for you and obviously for your husband in the military? It's a big part of what they do, but how are you weaving that into your home life?
Well, this may just seem like a weird topic, but I was thin before I had kids. I don't know if I would say I was healthy. And so me learning that once I was done having kids, to lose that weight, at first it was all about just losing the weight. And then I had to realize, one, it should be about being strong and feeling good, and eating healthy, and not just eating salad so I can, be thin. So it's interesting to teach your kids about, the proteins and the good fats and things like that. We also had we'll just say behavioral issues and digestive issues in the house. And so really taking a look at like what can be done natural health wise. What can we do for our gut health? What can we do for our mental and emotional health? I personally had suffered from anxiety and depression for many years and was on and off medications until I learned some good tools with natural health and just even things like journaling and visualization techniques and quiet time. And so I had to learn a lot of tools. And then of course, then that reflects and dominoes on the children about how, you know, we need to be active and we need to eat healthy. And we went on a gluten-free diet as a whole family to help one of the kids. And wow, did it make a difference in behavior and then in digestive system. And so, you know, we are just doing everything we can also then to be preventative as much as we can in our health. I think preventive and proactive in our health. Medical system, a lot is about, you know, just
reactive.
Yes. And we've learned that if we take certain vitamins, if we take, you know, our pre and probiotics, if we do different things for our mental and our physical health, that it's all tied together, because a lot of people don't realize that there's more neurotransmitters in our gut than in our brain. And so if your gut is not healthy, your brain is not healthy, which means depression, anxiety, and all of that are going to be worse if your gut is messed up. So you can heal the gut. Anyway, that's just a little bit of tangent on it. But so we use a lot of natural health and essential oils are a big part of that as well. And just learning the tools and learning for the kids to take care of themselves. So if they have a cut, what do they do? If they have a tummy ache, what can they use? What can they have? And just things like that, so that we're teaching them the tools when they leave the house. They don't need to just be, you know, living on Advil or Tylenol or whatever the heck, you know, is the thing at the moment, that they can be preventative and proactive as well in their health. So that's just really important to us. And then we're active, you know, biking and hiking and water sports and, you know, just moving our bodies as a family every chance we get.
So there's just a lot of common sense there. I mean, the human body is designed to ingest naturally organic foods, process them, pull the nutrients out, use them for good, and get rid of the bad stuff. That's just how the body's meant to do it.
Right.
There's just not a lot of really good organic things out there. My advice to my family, my kids, and you know, I did this for 10 years, and I'm a fitness guy, and they know it, and they roll their eyes at me. Something, you know, if it comes in a shrink wrap plastic, you probably shouldn't eat it. If it's got a nutrition label on it, you probably shouldn't eat it. Right. If you think about vegetables, you know, fresh meats, even fresh grains in a grocery store, they don't have a nutritional label. You pick up a lean piece of meat, it says meat. You pick up an apple, there's no nutritional label on an apple. Right. So, and lettuce. So there's just so many things about that. And, you know, all the processing that goes on in our diets is so important. I could do 35 podcasts on this topic. We get you back on.
Sure.
Go into it. So, you know, I ran a health and fitness business for 10 years, and I built a complex set of algorithms that would give people macronutrient assignments and 3 meals and recipes a day and all the exercise. And when people would ask me, you know, if you could boil it down, what's the biggest advice? And there's a lot to moderation, right? If you eat a little bit of some things, it probably is going to be okay with you. But if you eat a lot of any one thing, it's going to be a problem. Same thing with activity. If you're fairly active, you're going to be okay. So, you know, you've juggled so much, April, with, you know, teaching the kids, running your business, obviously, you know, with your husband in the military, that means movements and changes in places across the country and him being gone and not home and all those things that you have to manage. And, by the way, the mental stress that goes along with that, right? I mean, there's a lot of things there. So I'm actually thinking to myself, I have another hour worth of questions I want to ask you. So we're going to schedule another one of these. But I'm going to close with this. Maybe you can't tell us, maybe it's top secret, but what's the coolest invention you have going right now?
Gosh, that's a tough one.
Right. If you were to pick one.
Well, I think one that's going to be the most mainstream is a product you will soon find, hopefully, in your bathrooms and kitchens and maybe offices. I think it can fit in all of those industries. So I can't tell you, because that's the thing. Inventors can't share their ideas with the world until they're either for retail or about to hit to be kind of like a launch, excitement thing. Otherwise, the copycats will come.
So what we're going to do is when it goes live, I'll be following you, and then
Okay.
I'll repost it to all of our listeners so they can find out what it is, because they're going to be curious.
That sounds good. I like it.
You've been wonderful, and I'm just grateful. And I think you're going to be an inspiration for a lot of people, entrepreneurs, leaders, mothers, parents. Everybody listening to this can relate to a lot, especially people that have been at home through COVID right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much to relate to what you're describing, and you do it with a smile on your face. And I think it's just the greatest thing in the world, April. We're so happy we had you in the program.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, I think it's all about paying it forward. I learned the things I learned from other people. And so I just need to pass it along. That's all we got to do.
You certainly pay it forward. And we'll do a follow-up episode, because I'm really curious what this thing is. I want to see one in my kitchen at some point.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks, April.
Thanks for checking out Eating Crow. Like and subscribe so you never miss a video.